Phantom of the Opera is taking its final bow. After 35 years, composer Andrew Lloyd Webber's iconic musical closed its Broadway run this evening. That makes it Broadway's longest-running production, which includes nearly 14,000 performances. New York City honored and thanked Webber last week with a key to the city.
And while that performance was happening in New York City, a local celebration of the milestone performance was going on here in Duluth. Lyric Opera of the North, also known as Loon, hosted a Farewell to Phantom at Gray Salon. The event featured performances of songs from the musical, as well as a photo booth and a chandelier piñata paying homage to the musical's iconic set piece. Loon leaders say there are many local connections to Phantom of the Opera. Marnie Robb, a performer in the final Broadway company, will be directing Loon's summer opera, and Loon's artistic director, Sarah Lawrence, was a company member in the third national U.S. tour of Phantom for several years.
We're celebrating just this historic event. We thought it would be just a fun reason to have a party. There are people who really love Phantom of the Opera, and a lot of those people have never even been to an opera or been to an opera here, and we just are sort of interested in talking about the way those things interact.
Loon's summer opera, Cavalleria Rusticana, will be June 9th and 11th. For more information, you can visit our website.